Hi, my name is Dr. Barbara Buchner and I'm the Executive Director of Climate Finance at CPI. The International Climate Agreement reached in Paris in December 2015 aims to limit global temperature rise to well below 2 degrees and to increase climate finance flows from developed to developing countries to 100 billion a year and ramp up action every 5 years. It does constitute a new foundation for meaningful progress on climate action. So for those of us who have followed climate change negotiations for a long time, the agreement was very good news. It sent a clear signal to businesses and governments to speed up efforts to decarbonize their supply chains and business models. And just as importantly, it signaled that countries see that building cleaner and more resilient economies is compatible with their goals for economic growth. But now that these goals have been established, there are 3 areas where nations and investors should be focusing next. First, we are moving to a period of concrete plans and implementation. In fact, we do need to go beyond the diplomacy achieved in Paris to move towards concrete deals. The pledges for climate action that each country made during Paris, called the National Determined Contributions or NDCs, need to become policy frameworks, then financing plans for investments to flow and deliver the changes on the ground. Most countries' NDCs still provide only a high-level summary of where efforts will be focused to achieve targets. So in other words, NDCs describe what a country intends to do rather than detailing how they intend to do it. And this is particularly true for developing countries. So in other words, right now there is a big gap between ambition and capacity that needs to be bridged. Moving quickly on this is crucial to realize the important outcomes out of Paris and to keep the momentum. But second, while it's important that the Paris deal continue to focus on the $100 billion from developed to developing countries, we need to keep in mind that ultimately global transitions in energy and land use are going to require trillions and not billions of dollars. So the 100 billion really is a starting point and not an end point. Over the last 4 years, CPI's global landscape of climate finance has shown that just over $1 trillion cumulatively have been invested in low carbon and climate resilient growth. However, it's about $1 trillion that we need per year in order to really get us on a low carbon climate resilient pathway in line with the 2 degrees Celsius temperature target. And that means that we still have to work to do above and beyond the commitments made in Paris and really fill the financing gap. To fill the investment gap, we need to replicate and scale up what's already working today. But in order to get us to the investment levels needed for a 2 degrees pathway, we need innovation. And at CPI, we are managing the Global Innovation Lab for Climate Finance, which crowdsources, develops and stress tests new innovative finance instruments that have the potential to drive investment at scale in emerging economies. In fact, in just over a year of operation, we have helped fundraise more than $500 million. And the G7 has also endorsed all of the lab instruments. Achievements of leaders in 2015 were huge. They sent a clear signal to nations and investors that the future economy is a low-carbon, climate-resilient economy. But now the real work starts, and CPI is committed to finding real solutions that help investors and policymakers to move from talk to action.